the tape if, God forbid.
Right? I'm in, I think.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I have no video, but I'm on my phone.
Okay.
So I guess I'll do it from here until my internet comes back on.
Okay. Good. Channel 18, can I start?
Good to go.
Thank you. Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask to do a roll call for the quorum purpose.
Abadili.
Present.
Foster.
Present.
Gilmore, present. Hearn.
Present.
Lee.
Present.
Tagney.
Present.
Sampu.
Present.
Administrator Darcy Carley.
Present.
Staff member Kim Kavanaugh.
Present.
And Agent Ed Hoops.
Present.
And is that all for today, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's present, Mr. Chairman, and we have a quorum and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Acting under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and or Chapter 237 of the Code of Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August the 1st, 2023 at 3 p.m. on the application of Henry Blair, William J. and Catherine M. Fitzgerald. The hearing will be held remotely as televised on Channel 18. The plans and application are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointment by sending email request to Darcy Curley at 230 South Street, Hyannis. This meeting is being recorded and transmitted by the Information Technology Department of the Town of Barnstable on Channel 18. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, anyone else desiring to make such a recording or transmissions, please let Channel 18 know I know. Hearing none. This afternoon's hearing agenda is posted on the town's website. On the agenda, next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisement. Please send your checks to Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participations. The Conservation Commission's public hearing will be held by remote participation as a result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed by the governor on March 29, 2023, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1, the hearing will be televised via Channel 18. Second, the real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom link 865-2296-1926 or use the toll-free phone number 888-475-4499 as shown on the agenda. Third, the public can also email the comments to darcy.curley@town.barnstable.ma.us at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. For your information, under the continuance, the application for Linda Cerisi and Assisi and Sultans, the applicants have requested for a second continuance to August the 22nd. And then there's another continuance for George Hasiotis has request for a continuance to August the 8th. And this is solely for the NHESP letter. For the consultant, I want to remind the consultant that the project site need to be staked 1 week prior to the hearing date. This is critical for the commissioner to do their site visit and understand your projects. If the staking is not done properly and in timely, the commission may consider it as lack of information. This afternoon, under the old new business, we have Creekview Beach Article 97, declaration regarding proposed sewage pump stations. The Conservation Commissions will consider and vote whether to recommend to the town managers that the land that will be occupied by a proposed sewage pump stations at 997 Creekview Beach Road, Creekville, maps 206, parcel 13, is surplus to municipal conservation and open space needs. We have Charlie to go through the background with us. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, good afternoon, members of the board, commission rather. I'm Charles McLaughlin, Assistant Town Attorney, and we're dealing with another Article 97 matter, again related to the sewer project, which is moving along, as everyone knows, up until the stop of this cessation of construction, going in a very concentrated effort to get the sewering done in conformity with the plans and the intent of the CWMP. A parcel which is vital to the loop here for the Craigville Beach area involves land at Craigville Beach. And as described, I have on standby, and he's in another meeting, Griffin Bowden, town engineer. And if there are any questions from a technical standpoint, he's certainly available to answer them. But as with several of the other projects that are moving forward, this one will be largely subterranean. There will be an equipment shack above ground on it, a small equipment shack, housing electrical connections and things of that nature. This is an unusual procedural issue that we've been dealing with. We have not had clarity from EEA yet, and the issue is this: as you know, when lands have been in the past declared surplus to municipal conservation and open space needs, and we've requested that there was a written policy guidance from EEA, but it was only a policy, and it called for, among other things, on a fairly extensive checklist, the need to have a unanimous vote from the Conservation Commission. I believe historically we've treated that as a unanimous vote of those present and voting, but the matter's never been litigated. So we happily today we have a full quorum, and I'm hopeful that at the end of that you'll entertain the motion and vote unanimously in support of it to declare the land involved as surplus. But what has thrown a bit of a question mark on that is, as you know, the Public Lands Preservation Act was signed by the governor last year, and it memorialized basically the process that had been the subject of the EEA written guidance on this. It's now statutory. The statute does not mention the role, if any, of the Conservation Commission in it. So out of an abundance of caution and with respect to the role that you folks have played in the past, we wanted to bring this to you and have this box checked off that we have brought it to you, and hopefully have had your support on this. We are looking to find some way to get some written guidance and I think EEA is aware that we would need some interpretational guidance from them to figure out what role, if any, they're now expecting conservation to play. But with that procedural hiccup in the background, again, this is a fairly straightforward project. The size of the footprint needed is expanded from a little over 3,000 to just about 5,000 feet. And it borders, it's all in the paved area of the parking lot, directly bordering and abutting the roadway adjacent to it. And this historically has been, and certainly is well regarded as Article 97 property that is required to have eventually the unanimous, not the unanimous, but a supermajority vote from the the legislature to approve the Article 97 change of use. Where obviously the town will continue to own this, but the change in the use, technically, even though most of this is underground, is considered a disposition, which triggers the Public Lands Preservation Act. Again, I think from a legal standpoint, don't send a lawyer to do an engineer's job, but this is, again, I think a fairly straightforward installation that will mimic several other, ultimately, I think I'm told something in the range of 40 of these around the town before this project is done, and I keep hearing the number growing, but this will be a much needed pump station to address the lower south end of the distribution of sewering pipes. Happy to answer any questions you have on that. Again, I think if there is support for it, I'd be very grateful to have a unanimous vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Charlie, I think one thing I just want to mention, the locations of this parcel is just in front of the existing Creekview Beach bathhouse.
That is correct. Yep.
So I just want to mention that to the commission, understand the locations. So any questions for Charlie?
Yes.
John?
Thank you, Tom. Charlie, I'm confused. You said several times that it's going to be whatever this is that's going to go in this Craig or along the bathhouse at Craigville Beach is underground, but the agenda says it's a sewer pump station. So I'm just confused. I mean, a sewer pump station, I assume, would be above ground. No.
No, actually, we've got several that are either wholly underground. For example, at Mother's Park, we've discontinued a section of Mother's Park Road, and except I think for an electric stand to handle distribution of energy to that facility, it's all underground, and most of these are intended to be underground. And that's in part these are largely gravity fed, and so they're looking for the lowest point in the layout of the sewer in order to get that which needs to be pumped to it, and this is the case here. Some of the supporting infrastructure will be in an appropriately designed above ground structure, the electrical, and I think a couple of control boxes, but tastefully done and consistent with the bathhouse appearance, et cetera. As has been the case with any other above ground structures that are going to be used to support the CWMP and the sewer, there will be robust opportunity for public input as to the design and appearance of this small structure, but the guts of the project are underground, John.
So the final issue then, you're asking the Conservation Commission from a conservation point of view, are we willing to say that this project should proceed and will not be deleterious to conservation wetland resources? Is that the fundamental question that we're answering?
Yes, it is. And I'm glad you asked that, because I neglected to mention that the Public Lands Preservation Act does require replacement land, or if none is available or particularly suitable to be quote unquote replacement, having in mind that most of the intrusion here is underground and won't be seen, then we have to go through an appraisal process and bring this to the secretary for approval of a payment into a dedicated fund for conservation land acquisition, and I believe we've got a couple of years to actually identify replacement land. There's already money from Vineyard Wind and soon to be Park City Wind going into that, and I believe we have some other monies in there. So this fund will start to build up and be available to hopefully find appropriate new land that would be utilized and purchased with that money. Interestingly, the pretty much directly opposite this, there was some land that was thought to be conceivably suitable in lieu of an Article 97 here, but on further examination across the street and further looking at the back real estate title on it, that too was conservation land and bought for conservation purposes. So it was not something that would, we could not, were required to substitute either money or land that is not already in conservation and acquire it. Obviously, the property across the street is already in conservation, so it's not an answer to this issue. So we'll continue to deal with it. We don't have the definitive answer yet, but we will be looking very hard for some suitable land acquisition opportunities and use those funds.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, John.
You explained it pretty good, Charlie, for the sewage pump stations. And let me add a word in there is like, usually we prefer to have the sewage pump station below grade. So that because the sewer is coming in is at least 5 or 6 feet below grade or deeper, depending on the slope. So that's why we prefer this, the pump stations to be below. The only thing above ground is the electrical control panel and the instrumentation control panel and the backup generator. That has to be above ground and above the flood elevations, just for your information. So any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none, could I have a motion to make a recommendation to the town manager that he can declare the property located at 997 Creekview Beach Road, Centerville, map 206, parcel 13, is surplus to municipal conservation and open space needs?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Louise?
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney,
Abstain.
Zampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you. We have one revised plan coming families, GST exempted trust, 150 Hammock Lane, contoured SE3-6003. Raul?
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicants for this project. If I could share my screen.
Yes, please.
So this project received an order of condition last year, specifically July 2022. It's for the reconstruction of the site. In particular, they want to build a pool and pool amenities at the location of a former house. So the project is essentially a pool, and it was approved under the order of condition. What the homeowner decided to do is to reduce the scope of work. In particular, this area of a bump out of pool patio towards the Cotuit Bay area. So they eliminated that section of the work, which is the closest one to the Barnstable coastal bank. And in doing so, they also modify the proposed pool. So this is the revised plan that I'm showing on the screen right now. This is how it looks when you zoom into the plan that was submitted. So the pool now is a square or rectangle pool with a spa, another rectangle spa section adjacent to it. And these formerly existing stairs that were proposed to remain in place and a patio for the pool that was proposed is no longer being proposed. So all this area that is previously approved is no longer in the project. The site is currently under construction, but just as a comparison, this is what the project used to be as proposed last year. This is how it looks today. So there is less proposed structures within the 50-foot buffer zone. In total, there is a reduction of 250 square feet of structures in the 50-foot buffer zone. Last year, we only had a reduction of 21 square feet. So that's somewhere around 230 square feet of additional reduction in the 50-foot buffer zone. There is proposed 507 square feet of development in the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone. Last year we had 430. So that's roughly some 77 square feet of increase in development in the 50 to 100. So the overall reduction in the 0 to 50 more than triples what's being increased in the 50 to 100. In doing so, you will notice that the proposed mitigation is reduced by the reduction of scope of work in the buffer zones. So this section in the middle that we had proposed an approval for mitigation planting is no longer proposed. We did keep the proposed mitigation closest to the wetland, which was the one to the south. And we also keep the one proposed mitigation that's where we are proposing to remove an existing shed. So that little area is still going to be proposed because we are removing the shed. And then this second area closest to the wetland resources is still proposed to be planted. Some pictures of the site. That's the existing garage right now. That's going to have some additions, same as approved before. Over to the right of the picture, that's the former house that's now being converted to a pool. That's what the pool looks like today, still under construction. Another picture of the pool under construction. And this is the back side of the property of the pool. This is where there was an existing staircase and there was going to be a proposed pool patio in this area. That is no longer being the case. All those structures are being removed. This construction access will be removed and the area will be restored to grass and yards. So that's essentially the project. The revision is a reduction in scope of work in terms of structures, and tied to the structures is a reduction in mitigation plantings, but it still meets the requirements of the 4-to-1 and 3-to-1 required mitigation plantings. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks, Arul. Luis?
Raul, when you remove the shed, are you going to plant something in its place?
So yes, the planting that was proposed and approved in the area of the shed and the area right in front of the shed, which is like kind of an access to the shed, is going to be replanted. Right now it's lawn up to the shed and then we have the shed. The shed is currently or was used for storing some of the items that were seasonal in the beach house. With the new improvements to the pool area, they don't need that shed anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Luis. Any other question from the commissioner? None? Could I have a motion to approve the revised plan as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney,
Aye.
Zampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck, Raul.
Thank you.
We have 3 extension requests. The first one is Carlton and Christine Sands, SE3-5661 for Bayshore Road, Hyannis. Is Sean with us from Coastal?
I don't see him, probably being the first request. They don't always need to attend.
Okay. This is the first request. Normally we would approve it for the first request without too much questioning stuff. Could I have a motion to approve the extension request for Carlton and Christine Sen, SE3-5661?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney,
Aye.
Zampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. The second extension request is Richard, Mr. Junior and Normani Burns, SE3-5502, 1635 South County Road, Marston's Mill. Chuck?
Chuck Rowland, Sullivan Engineering Consulting. Can everyone see me or hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, I hope you can see me.
Yes, I can see you too.
All right. So my client is asking for their second extension. The first permit extension is due to expire on August 25th. So just to refresh you guys with the site consists of approximately 40 acres of land in Marston's Mills abutting Warren's Cove, and the property is a significant portion of the Davis estate. And this area was designed and constructed by the Olmsted brothers, landscape architecture in the early 1930s. And although the original house was demolished in the 70s, some of the landscape features remain. Due to the historical and ecological significance of the property, conservation restriction was granted to the trustees of reservations in 2001 for the protection of water quality, wildlife habitat, floodplain function, scenic resources, and historic value. And the restriction also provides for public access to the property. The project, as approved, is a land management plan for vegetation management to include removal of non-native and aggressive plant species, native plant restoration, and woodland management and vista creation. The extension is being requested to allow for maintenance and expansion of the woodland management, Phragmites management, and vista maintenance, which will further the interests of the restriction. I think that there's someone here from Wilkinson if they would like to add anything, or if you guys have any questions. But I think that my client has been good shepherds of the property, and this is just not for construction or anything like that. It's for maintenance of the area and conservation jurisdiction with Wilkinson. So with that, we're happy to take any questions.
Chuck, can you tell us what stage are they in? Are they almost done, or what? Are they 50% done, 60% done?
Is anyone here from Wilkinson that can speak to that?
Hi, sorry.
Oh, Katrine's here.
Hi, Katrine Higgins from Wilkinson Ecological Design. Good afternoon. I don't know if people remember this project when we were before you permitting this. It's a unique site. It's 40 acres in size. It's an old Olmsted project. And so we're just asking, it's a very unique project and property. And we're asking for an extra, we've done planting. There's plenty of more work that could be done. And based on the way that the plan was approved, we would go back to Darcy and ask, review any additional work that would be needed to do. And to extend the test plots, we created several test plots within the buffer area. And so we're just looking for an extension to continue this work, do additional planting. The applicant's very interested in increasing the pollinator species that are on the property. There's just a small portion of the property is within jurisdiction, but he's really looking at doing this throughout the entire property. And it's very consistent with Olmsted's original plan for the land.
Thank you for the explanation. I remember this application came in front of us. It's very attractive in terms of all the vegetation being proposed. Yeah. But I'm just curious, what other stage are they in right now? So any other question from the commissioner?
Point time. All right.
John?
Obviously, Angela, I don't know if you had a chance to view this, but it is an incredible environment and site off of South County Road. A comment that I make, not related to any authority of the commission, is that I don't think many of the public even know it exists. There's no sign, there's no invite, there's no anything. And I, because of role as a commissioner, had a chance to go down it a few times. It is magnificent. I'd love to see a public invitation at some point, but the project itself is absolutely phenomenally great.
Thank you, John. Any other comment from the commissioner? Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve the extension request as requested?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Cavadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Magny,
Aye.
Lampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
I hope
Thank
you
Angela,
very
you get a
much.
chance to go down there, Angela. It's absolutely magnificent.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been riding around a lot lately. I absolutely agree with you.
Right.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. The third extension request, the Wind LLC SE 3-5681 is 857 Creekville Beach Road, Sanderville. This is the first request for extensions. I don't think Jack is here, right, Darcy?
No, but you have
Elizabeth is.
Marshenick from Vineyard Wind. Hi.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, commissioners. Yes, we are requesting an extension to the Conservation Commission order of conditions for the local bylaw. We are nearly complete. As you know, there's no works going on currently down by the beach or in the roadways, as is the normal order in the conditions here. But there are some minor works that still need to be completed in the fall after the end of the summer season here. So we are asking for an extension. I think in our email, we asked for 1 year. I think the commission can give up to 3 years. We're fine with either. It's literally 1 or 2 more days worth of work. We do need to complete some works in the transition joint bay, which, as you know, is in the Cobbles Beach parking lot, which may require some dewatering. That being the case, we would need the extension to the permit to do that, as it is set to expire on August 28th. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you. We typically extend it for 3 years terms. Even so, if you finish early, you can request for the COC earlier. So, any question from the commissioner? None. Could I have a motion to approve the extension request?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Cavadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Magny,
Abstain.
Lampu.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck, Elizabeth.
Thank
This
you.
afternoon, we have one RDA, Henry Blair, proposed additions with associated septic system, minor grading within the 100-foot buffer to a coastal bank, and septic piping within the 100-foot buffer to an isolated vegetated wetland at 2580 Main Street, Route 6A, Barnstable, as shown on the assessors maps 258, parcel 016. Dan.
Good evening, afternoon, Chairman Lee, members of the commission. Dan Odula from Down Cape Engineering. I'll pull up the screen here to share it. As the advertisement said, it's one of the lesser form filings, the RDA, that are filed under your guidelines. This is a small addition that's outside of your jurisdiction. There's a little bit of light grading on the south side that cuts into the a little bit into the buffer. You can see the 100-foot off the coastal bank comes through here, and the grading goes into it just a little bit. It's a nice big property. I apologize. It is a little bit hard to find. The road sign didn't have big letters on it. It was tucked in the grass, but we're a little bit late on staking it out. Somehow that slipped through the cracks, and I apologize. If anybody wants to continue it, just let us know. But as you come into the site, there's a big field on the right. You saw this, if you did come after we flagged it that afternoon, there was, this is the spot where we found the best soils. It's kind of a field that's back. Then the driveway goes by a little isolated vegetated wetland. That's a sort of wetland that's not connected, doesn't border on a pond. It's just formed by a little bit of clay soils with a dip. And then the driveway comes back up and the house is over here outside of that jurisdiction. So the proposal is we're going to have 3 bedrooms that are here. They're going to continue to use the existing 3-bedroom, and there's a 3-bedroom addition, but we're going to design the septic for 6 bedrooms. Just in case that other one ever does fail, they can reroute the interior plumbing and not have to redo the whole septic. And then we're just simply going to pump it down along the driveway, sleeve it where it crosses the water line, and then come out to a good-sized leaching field outside of your jurisdiction, which is a good spot for it, down at the entrance drive. Silt fence will be installed right along the driveway and out in the field here to keep any silt from heading down towards. We're a little salt creek and a salt marsh and a little BVW beside that, all quite a ways away, but it'll be protected by a silt fence in the outer buffer zone. So pretty straightforward, great big property. I don't know how many acres, but over 10. And pretty lightly treading on it, I would say, overall. It's a nice kind of a natural type site. Be glad to answer any questions if you do have them.
Thank you, Dan. For RDA, typically, we don't allow for a continuance because we, under the 21 days rule, we need to either have the hearing and then approve the condition or not approve it. So just want to mention it to the commissioner. Any question from the commissioner? None? Any public comment? Channel 18?
Seeing none.
None? Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangny.
Aye.
Zampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck. This afternoon, we only have one NOI. William J. and Catherine M. Fitzgerald proposed pool replacement modification at 285 the Neck Road, Marston's Mill, as shown in the Assessors Map 075 parcel 010-002. And this is Chuck.
Yes, it is. Good afternoon, Chuck Rowland, Sullivan Engineering Consulting. I'm representing the Fitzgeralds. Mr. Fitzgerald is with us today, as well as Chris from Joyce Landscaping and Mike from Sudbury Design. And I'll get right into it.
The plan?
Sure, yeah, I'm working on that. Let me know when this pops up on your end.
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so the site consists of about 3.5 acres of land in Marston's Mills overlooking North Bay. The site is developed with a single-family dwelling and pool constructed around 1999 under SE 32973. A pier constructed under SE 34861 and all associated appurtenances. In addition, on the southeast side of the house was approved under SE 34630 and constructed in about 2007. Wetland resources at the site are coastal beach, salt marsh, coastal bank, and lands subject to coastal storm flowage. The existing pool, which is over 20 years old at this point, are leaking and needed significant repairs. And equipment replacement to the point that complete replacement is warranted. The project as proposed is to modify the existing pool. The pool area will be expanded approximately 4 feet seaward for a total of 350 square feet. As you can see here on my cursor is the extent of the existing hardscape, and then we're asking to bump it out a little bit. The work is located within the 50 to 100 foot buffer of the coastal bank, and the pool will be using ozone or approved alternative for disinfection. We've shown a work limit consisting of hay bales with silt fencing to provide protection from the resources, as well as showing construction access around the east side of the property. As part of construction, we're requesting to remove these 2 trees because of their close proximity to the dwelling and the deck for construction access. And because of all the construction going on here, there's no sufficient access between the trees and the deck or around the trees. The applicant purchased the property in 2001, and at the time, the realtor and title review showed there was a certificate of compliance issued for all the work on the property. but unbeknownst to the owner, there was a violation of ongoing conditions work in the 50-foot buffer, which we believe was the second time. And it was the first violation was issued in 2007. And through a little more forensic research and due diligence, we originally found that the misplaced file was not digitized. But since we've located it, it determines it appears the prior owner proceeded to continue further violate conditions in the buffer zone. Non-compliance of the property was self-reported, and the commission staff invited to the property. The new enforcement order has been drafted and was brought in front of you guys. Although the client is disappointed about losing a yard, we've been committed to working with all the experts that I mentioned earlier, as well as the commission and the conservation staff to restore those areas. So we've really concluded that without removing these trees, there's no really great way to access the area. And as part of the enforcement order, Sudbury Design invited Steve Haywood from Bartlett, and he identified those two trees as having significant structural damage. And that's in this letter. We actually just got this today. Does the letter show up on your screen?
No, we have the plans.
Let me pop it up for you.
You should send a copy to Darcy for the file.
We're happy to do that. Just let me know when it shows up.
Yeah, now.
Yep.
So we literally got this today, so we'll be sending this to Darcy and the commission. So he reviewed these this group of trees, and the two trees that he noted in this report are number 10 and number 8. So structural tree discussions are kind of outside of my expertise, but sounds like he's found some cankers, and this fungi is caused by 4 to 5 large cankers that weaken the structural integrity of the tree, and due to the tree's close proximity to the home and high use area, he feels it should be removed. And then number 8, the base of the oak, the base of the tree has some issues with decay. And so these are the photos of that, as well as some other large decay on the main limb over the house. So we'll be sending these letters along. We're also happy to replace the trees, obviously replace them. So we can add that to a plan if the commission is amenable to that. So with that, I can, Chris or Mike, want to speak?
Yeah, if I could for a second, Mr. Chairman, Mike Kutu from Sudbury Design Group, just as a follow-up to the information from Steve Haywood at Bartlett Tree. As part of the enforcement order, we've been working with the owner. We're going to be developing a plan. We're going to be reviewing it with Edwin. We had a great meeting on site. The owner's on board of really doing a really, great job of revegetating that area that was a result of the violation. Our team actually went out and numbered every single tree on the back of the property. And the intent of having Steve out was to look at all of the trees as we develop a vegetation plan for the back of the property. We wanted him to assess all the trees because we don't want to be working around something that ultimately is a problem. He noticed those 2 trees as we were talking, and we started talking. I said, well, this is our construction access. And he started looking at them closely. And that's where that letter came to be. That's why we're so late. But we are working and are willing. I can work with Edwin if we want to put a couple of additional trees in as part of our plan that we're going to be submitting for the enforcement, we're more than happy to do that.
I think for a minimum, because those trees are within the 50-foot buffer, I think we will need replacement trees for two of them that we're moving to.
So what I'm suggesting is we make that part of our plan. We're going to be doing a planting for the whole back of the property, and we can make that part of our overall planting plan and review it with Edwin and staff.
Okay. I think at this morning, late yesterday, Edwin sent out an email regarding to the 285 on the enforcement order. Ed is here too, so I want to go to Ed first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I agree. The two trees that are called for removal, that's, if you see your way fit to remove those, that's fine. I would recommend that they, as Mike has already said, that they just add the replacements into the restoration planting plan that's going to be going, that'll be submitted to us later, probably next month, I would think. Yeah. And they can take care of that as part of the entire restoration, which is essentially the backyard. So we can handle it through the restoration planting plan then.
Thank you, Ed. Louise?
I'm just wondering, Mr. Hayward talked about the problems that those two trees have. And by the way, I'm very supportive of this proposal in general, but those are beautiful big trees. And I guess I would ask if there were another way to for equipment to access the site of the work. Could something be done to save those trees?
So if I may jump in, one of the reasons I had Steve out there was to look specifically at construction access and what protection we could, because we're interested in protection of the other trees as well. It's then that he realized those trees are not in good shape. And he said, if they were at my house, I'd be very concerned because of the structural damage on both of them up above. One of them has severe bulbous activity at the bottom, which is an indication of internal decay, which you can't tell until the tree goes down, but it's a good indicator. So he was pretty definitive with his recommendation that those trees should not be in that close proximity to the house. So that's totally outside of construction. That was his recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Thank you. Just again, for the record, Mr. Fitzgerald, I also live in Baxter Neck. Hi, I went by the house today to say hello, but you weren't home.
Appreciate you doing that.
I had the same question about the construction access argument really bothered me because I sort of measured it off roughly, but there's like 15 feet from that first tree on the access to the next closest tree where the work limit line is. And I was going to ask Chris if from a 15-foot path wasn't wide enough for any of the equipment that would be needed to go in there. The second one, as I took the closest thing, was about 10 feet. So just addressing before we get to the health of the tree, Chris, from a construction access and equipment point of view, is 15 feet not enough? Is 10 feet not enough for that second tree?
So thank you, John.
Do you want me to share the screen?
Chris, yep.
Yeah, that would be great. For starters, we looked at trying to access this on the right side of the property facing the house, and it's just not doable due to a transformer, and then there's a massive grade change that is on the right side that would not be safe. So there was a lot of conversation between Chuck, John, Mike Kutu, and myself regarding logistically how to do this project. Okay. So we've been talking for a number of months on how we would do this. And once we made the decision that we had to come in the left side of the property, you know, we're demoing an existing pool and reconstructing reconstructing a pool. We need excavators, loaders, bobcats, and trucks of some sort. Even with snow protection, tree protection, my concern is going to be a logistic nightmare. And I'm worried about the safety out there working. John, even though you're saying 15 feet, there's so much that has to go on logistically from a sequencing standpoint. I just don't know how we could do this project without having what I'm calling a drop zone and a work area that I feel safe about doing.
Yeah. And then just to follow up, Chris, thanks. That's a good answer. We already agreed that those trees would be replaced. And what's normal? They're two fairly substantial trees. They looked healthy to me, but obviously I'm not a tree expert. Do you try to do it like inch for inch or the chest height, the same width? How would you do that, Ed, in terms of replacing those two trees? Because the property could use a couple more trees without affecting Mr. Fitzgerald's view or anything. But how many trees? How would you do that? Or Mike, whoever would answer that, I'm not sure.
So Mike's gonna work. We're all gonna work together. We're gonna measure the trees at diameter of breast height, and it's we'll figure out what the caliper is, and then a recommendation will be made to replace if it's two trees for one or what,
Okay.
Mike will speak to that, but that's how we've done this in the past.
Yeah.
Right. Ed, that's normal, right? Ed, what Chris just said. Okay, great. That works for me. Thank you.
I think Ed can take a look at that time, but I prefer to have 1-for-1 replacements. The size Ed can decide.
Caliper inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's caliper inches at breast height, chest height.
Yeah.
PBH.
Well, I know we're going to satisfy the violation order with a plan that the commission's going to be extremely happy with. So I'm confident we can accommodate that. So.
And Ed has supported that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Mike. Bill.
Yeah, I'm wondering why you're moving the pool closer to the coastal bank. You've got it right smack dab up against the 50-foot buffer line. And in other projects, we usually, try to shy away from that. And in this particular project, the 50 to 100-foot buffer is all but totally taken up by hardscape. And I guess I'm wondering, why are we bringing it right up to the 50-foot line?
I can try to answer that a little bit if I can from a design design standpoint. Currently, the way this house was constructed is very unusual in that the foundation does not come all the way up. There's actually a retaining wall under this pool that holds the pool up on the house side, and it's very awkward. There's also a raised spa that's part of the pool. What we're doing is we're taking that spa and incorporating it into the pool as opposed to making it a whole separate structure, so that we could put an auto cover on it and have safety for the grandchildren under one structure. If you notice over here by the, you probably can't see my cursor, but over where the covered porch is on the left-hand side edge of the pool, you can't, with young children, they can't even really functionally get around this pool. They need the pool to have a little more room on the inside just to have room to move between the house and the pool. It's literally right against the house. So what we're doing is we're taking the existing spa and the existing pool and making it one. And then the deck around it is just that. It's not a impervious, it's a deck. So it goes down into crushed stone underneath. So we're not really increasing impervious to a large degree. We are trying to gain a little more room between the house and the pool.
Thank you. And that being said, I would defer to others relative to whether or not you need to take the trees down for construction purposes, but definitely I would want you to replace the trees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. George?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I was out there today and looked at those trees, and my first thought, Chris, was, maybe he could remove just one of those trees. And of course, this was before we got the letter from the arborist. So, but I get, now that you've talked about all the construction that's going on there, I get why you need both those removed anyway from a construction standpoint. So I'm in favor of it. I'm sure you're happy that new pool is going to be in front of where that old wall was and away from that house.
Yeah.
It's going to make your job a little bit easier, not a lot.
Thanks, George. Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none. Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
Could I have a motion to approve these projects as submitted, subject to the 2 replacement trees and determined by and submit the plan with the to act for review and approval?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abbott Ely,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Hangney,
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank all of you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun with that one, Chris.
We have 3 continuance. The first one is Bennett Daniel, remove and replace in-ground pool and deck, remove and replace patio floors and amenity, construct sheds and landscaping at 744 Seaview Avenue, Austinville, as shown on Assessors Map 114, Parcel 012-002. And this is a continuance from July the 11th. And the quorum is everyone. Arlene?
Good afternoon. Arlene Wilson, AM Wilson Associates here for Mr. Daniel. As we notified the commission, this project has gotten smaller. Mr. Daniel has decided not to pursue the stonework in the existing grassed area to the south of the house at this time. He's more interested in being able to get the pool construction started this fall if the commission is willing to allow it. So what's going on here is that the pool work at the pool area is identical to the original plan. There is one exception, and that is that we've actually added some mitigation. You can see the stippled area around the access to the pier. So that provides 532 square feet of additional mitigation that's within the 0 to 50, even though now none of the new hardscape is in the 0 to 50. It's all in the 50 to 100 or more landward than that. The pool area, as you may recall, required approximately 225 square feet of additional mitigation. There is still 409 square feet of mitigation around the pool area for that. So we've got a total of 941 square feet of mitigation now, where we only are required to have 225. The other part of this project is to do a little repair work where the landscapers have apparently been accessing the rear yard for mowing and repair work to the wall and whatever else may happen. Darcy, I think the second plan has a little bit of color on it and shows,
I'll bring that
those
up.
areas. In any event, what we're proposing is to take some of that fiberglass gridding that we occasionally use for piers over salt marsh and have used for landing pad purposes previously for its seaplane. And the vegetation grows right up through it. What they would do is just install it so that it comes exactly to grade and plant through the openings, which are about 1 inch square. That material distributes the weight of riding mower or what have you, so that it doesn't cause ruts and result in future erosion. In addition to that, for those of you who have been out there, you may recall that there is the remains of a large stump at the existing bench in that lawn area. That's the grid material, so you can see that salt marsh growing up through it. That's the application that we generally use it for. And I think this is the plan I was talking about. If you, no, another, okay. In any event, so what we've requested is to be able to grind the stump that's near that. The stonework that's over it can go at grade once again, and people won't be tripping over either the stonework or the stump. And that'll allow the existing irrigation head to be fixed in that area as well. And we hope we'll do away with the erosion problem that's happened down that bank. There are 2 areas where previous mitigation has apparently, the shrubbery has apparently died, and we will replant those areas as part of this project as well. And I'd be happy to answer questions.
Darcy, can you bring up the plan? It's the last page of the package.
Yeah, sorry, I went to the wrong exhibit. Is this what you want?
It's the same one, but it's the last page.
Okay, on this, scrolling down?
Yeah. So while you're looking for that, Louise?
Arlene, in terms of this plastic mesh that you're going to put in so the landscapers can access the backyard, is that in the 50-foot buffer?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a problem. I mean, we're talking about a no-touch zone, and suddenly we're putting in a plastic grid for landscapers, when at the same time we're moving the pool around and all the surroundings, which is a golden opportunity to open up a spot over there for the landscapers. So it seems to me that, let's see, I just can't see putting something like that in the 50-foot buffer when you have another option that you could develop. I know the plan doesn't, over there at the pool doesn't necessarily, well, at this point, it doesn't support the landscaper issue, but I think it could be modified so that it would. So what do you think?
We looked at that issue. Darcy and I discussed it a little bit when we were out at the site. The problem is that area is quite heavily wooded. I provided a couple of photographs of the area, and close to the property line. In terms of benefit for wildlife purposes, certainly, as well as aesthetics, I think it's probably more important to leave the trees and woody vegetation along that westerly property line adjacent to the pool. The access that the landscapers have been using to the backyard, they've been using for years. It's already disturbed. It's actually sheltered on the water side by some substantial woody vegetation as well. And it's an area about 4 feet by maybe 20 feet long, Louise. So rather than put it on the north property line where we would be talking about probably 80 feet worth of existing vegetation that would get impacted. I really think we're better off leaving it where it is.
Well, regardless of whether the landscaper has been doing this for years, it is in the 50-foot buffer, and you're saying it's 80 feet versus, sounds like, was it 40 feet in the 50-foot buffer? It's disturbed, it's eroding. Yes, you're going to fix it, but you're going to be putting plastic in there. You talk about wildlife, there can be wildlife in the 50-foot buffer as well that would be enhanced by maybe getting rid of that area that the landscapers use. Again, this is a golden opportunity because you're putting in the pool, the surround for the pool, so forth. I haven't studied that area on the north side of the property, but I do think that it's a shame to be just continuing utilizing a no-touch zone as the 50-foot buffer should be by having the landscapers tromp through there once a week.
The grid material is actually fiberglass, not plastic, if that makes a difference. But the last photograph of the group on the email that I sent you shows the condition of the vegetation along that line near the pool now. Clearly, it's up to the commission, but the applicant would prefer to leave the woody vegetation along that line insofar as it's possible. We take it down. A lot of what is now overstory material is going to be gone. Clearly, you can plant things back, but it would take some substantial time to get the canopy back to that height.
Excuse me, Tom.
Okay, what? Chelsea?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to respond to when Arlene said that we met out there. I just want to state that I wasn't in agreement with that idea. Also, Arlene, I did ask for the demarcation bounds that are there to be shown on the plan that you're pulling them landward to include that additional mitigation that you'd be putting in. So those are not shown on the landscaping plan that you submitted.
I'm sorry, which areas do you want it shown on the plan, Darcy?
So do you remember the bound markers that we were looking at out there? And we had the marked up plan that was approved, and I gave you a copy from the file. We need to have those bound markers, demarcation markers on the plan that you want to submit for this. They're not there. Remember, you were going to have to pick some of them up and move them landward over by the pool area, because if you're adding mitigation, we want to pull the ones that were there forward.
The existing line of those bollards that are in the field is indeed on the plan. They didn't survey each one of them in, but the line that's marked as shrub line or brush line, that's the line of those bollards.
Okay, but you need to write on the plan that there's demarcation bollards. Even though you have brush line, it's not making it clear.
Okay,
that it says,
that's an easy change.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, you need those demarcations on the line to
just
label.
So, yeah, that we're in agreement. What is there? What are the size of them? So they will always be in place. Thanks.
Bill.
I was very pleased that the owner withdrew the patio thing on the south. That was great. That made me happy. And I wasn't really following closely this thing about the fiberglass matrix, if you will, in the 50-foot buffer. And I'm really supportive of what Louise was saying. There's something about making this, I think we want to try to recover the 0 to 50-foot buffer and make it natural. And there's something really unnatural about a fiberglass matrix. It kind of doesn't seem right.
Thank you, Bill. George and I went out this morning and take a look at the site. George, you want to make the comment or you want me to make the comment?
Well, I'll go ahead and start first. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, we looked at it, and one thing that struck me, Arlene, was since you are redoing this, it looks like there's about 10 feet of, and it's not dimensioned off, but looks like on that north side of that pool, there's about 10 feet of patio. Pool deck.
Yeah,
I'm just going roughly by your 15'6" mark.
Yeah.
So 10, maybe even 10 plus. But I just wondered, and I see that, you know, there's a gate down there on the driveway side. There's a gate on the other side. I didn't know if, you know, you could incorporate those in to give your landscapers access over the pool deck. I realize that's not something you prefer to do, but in lieu of getting into the 50, even if they had to throw down some, you know, a couple pieces of plywood just to get over the deck, I don't think the rubber tires on the landscape equipment would harm the deck at all either. But it seemed to me that might be a good way to get there with the equipment you need to mow that lawn. Now, when I was a kid, I used to use a real mower to mow a lawn like that.
I understand, George. So did I.
What's wrong with these people?
In fact,
they don't make them anymore, George. They're outdated.
But I don't know. I thought that might be a good option, Arlene.
My observation is, you know, the regular lawn mower would be sufficient, and you can just take it either through the steps, or you can make a temporary ramp coming down from the step side, you know, to go down and mow it rather than the machine. Where you mark where you have a grading proposed, that's pretty steep. When I went down there, I almost fall. You know, you drive a machine down that steep bank, I'm not sure, you know, how stable that is, you know, for that machine to stay up. So
I was getting ready to catch Tom, so I knew we almost fell.
I mean, I'd rather try not to go there and just to, you know, to vegetate and minimize all these erosion area, those two. Right down where the step is, there is another stump that if you want to remove it, I'm fine with it. So to give you more safety in terms of walking down the steps to go to the lawn area. That's my observations.
Clearly, if the commission prefers that we change a little bit of the grading around the pool to accommodate that access instead of having the access to the south, we'll go along with that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Luis?
And as part of that, Arlene, could you have some sort of a planting plan that's going to stabilize that area where it's eroding?
We're happy to work that out with Darcy or Ed.
Thank you.
John.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I'm just jumping in on that. You scared me a little bit with what you just said, Arlene, in terms of, well, we could work a little bit here and there, and I'm not sure what that meant, but whatever it is, it's going to require staff approval, if that's okay.
Yes, okay. I mean, the way it's designed now, John, there are a couple of steps at each end of the pool. Yeah. So they have to change the grading a little bit to get a machine in, and perhaps change the location of the gate on the driveway side, which is actually not within 100 feet anyway. So we'll work on that plan and get it to Darcy for approval. That's fine.
That sounds great versus what you're saying earlier, you know, we got to take down trees, et cetera, which would not be a very good option. Okay, great. Thank you.
Just so you understand, it will require removal of some of those trees in any event.
Even if you follow Tom's suggestion, can't they use a smaller machine to get down there and cut it rather than a sit-down machine?
Well, you have to remember, John, that although most of the week-to-week or month-to-month access that goes on is for landscaping, they still have to be able occasionally to get to the back of that house.
Right.
To do maintenance on the back patio and the walkout and those walls. So as nice as it would be to use a push mower, they need occasionally to have machines that are a little bigger than that.
Well, then my question is for Darcy, wherever you are. Oh, there you are, Darcy. Are you okay with this, kind of putting this on your shoulders to approve what Arlene comes back with? Are you okay with that, Darcy?
Yeah, within reason of what trees. I don't agree that having to have to go with a big machine to get to the backyard. That backyard could be mowed. I mowed mine with a push mower, so the need to have mowing machines back there, I don't buy. But I think there, whatever George said for the width to get a push mower in, I don't see why there'd have to be a lot of trees taken down.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting concerned. I'm just concerned that Arlene's definition of access and our definition of access may be very different.
I think this should come back as a revised plan so we have a good understanding of the width and what type of machine and how many trees need to come down.
Why don't we do that?
If I might.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of the trees that might need to come down are more than 100 feet. It's too bad to lose them in any event, but I don't think we need to start getting approval for those, the ones that are beyond 100 feet.
No, you don't need that, but I need to know, what are we talking about within the 100 feet?
The access for the lawnmower, whether it's a machine run or manual or whatnot. So that's what we're talking about here.
But just to finish that up, Tom, could we let Darcy take a look at what Arlene and the applicant come up with, and she could decide whether it has to come back as a revised plan or not? Would that be an acceptable approach, Tom?
We have to vote.
You have to give a continuance date. I mean.
Okay, sorry about that. You're right. Procedurally, you would.
Right. Okay. George, your hands are still up.
Yeah, just going back to it, just seems to me, Arlene, that because of the new configuration of the pool deck, you're going to be taking some trees down anyway because of that. But because the pool deck is going to be wide enough on that north side of the pool, it seems to me that you're not going to be taking any further trees down other than what you have to do for the construction of the pool anyway, right?
Not along the pool edge, George, on the street side of the
street side.
Pool, yeah, which is more than 100 feet.
I was going to say it's outside of our jurisdiction anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there really won't be anything taken down within our jurisdiction other than what you're doing right now as far as replacement of the pool.
That's probably true, George.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Did Angela have her hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I understand the homeowner's interested in the swimming pool and moving on that this fall. How important is that existing lawn down below to them? Because a third of it is sitting within that 50 feet. It sounds like we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to mow a lower lawn that maybe they're not even that interested in. Like, has anybody had a discussion with them about that?
It's the only usable yard space on the site, Angela. So
right, I'm not saying
it is important.
Okay, yeah. It's important to them. So that's something they're going to stand on. Okay, that's what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to state that was only supposed to be mowed 4 times a year because it was supposed to stay a clover lawn. So And just keep that in mind, that that was from an ongoing condition, and the landscaping plan that was submitted and approved was mowing 4 times a year.
Thank you, Darcy.
Great point, Darcy.
Arlene, so we need a continuance, right, with the revised plan?
If the trees that are coming down are more than 100 feet away, and the change in the grading for the pool deck is also going to be more than 100 feet away, is that really necessary? Can Darcy approve the planting plan for the revision or the repair to the existing landscape access? And
yeah, I can do that. If you're going to give us a revised plan showing the repair where it's eroded, the demarcation information for the bounds, what was the other one? Oh, and just that you have and carrying over the landscaping about the mowing of 4 years in the backyard, or 4 times a year in the backyard, because it's supposed to be a clover backyard.
Yeah.
So if we got that straightened out, that there really are no additional trees being taken down in the jurisdiction than what is required for the pool construction, then I can approve that and we can go forward.
Okay. 10:18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve the revised plans subject to another revised plans to be reviewed and approved by Darcy?
Do you have to state the conditions, Tom, of the revised plan that Darcy just said, including the conditions as just stated by Darcy?
Yeah. And the revised plan should including the comment that just Darcy was making in terms of the demarcation line and the minor grading change.
And the repair of the erosion area.
And the repair of the erosions, the path on the two slope.
And a notation about the 4 times a year.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So with that, I'd make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangney.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Arlene. The second continues is Linda Zarifi and Ali Sutton. And the Linda Zarifi's revocable trust of 2018 proposed constructions of a single-family house at 326 Vineyard Road, contoured as shown on the assessors map 016 parcel 028-002. This is a continuance from July 18th, and the applicants have requested for a second continuance to August the 22nd. Could I have a motion to continue this application to August the 22nd?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangney.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. The last continuance is George Haziosis, proposed landscaping improvement, including resource area enhancements, deck and patio reconstructions and reconfigurations, driveway improvement and fencing at 309 Long Beach Road, Centerville, as shown on the assessors map 185 parcel 035. This is a continuance from July the 25th, and we are waiting solely for the NHGSB letter, and we have not received that. So the applicant has requested for a continuance to August the 8th. Could I have a motion to approve the continuance to August the 8th solely for the NHGSB letter?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangney.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
We have one set of minutes, July the 11th.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
So move. Anyone second?
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Angie,
Aye.
Lampoon.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
The next hearing date is August the 8th and it's 6:30 p.m. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gilmore, aye. Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Angie,
Aye.
Lampoon.
Aye.
That's unanimous. We're adjourned at 4:25.